دوستان لطفا بفرمایید بنشیم که مراسم رو شروع کنیم. ممنونم. دوستان لطفا بفرمایید بشینین که ما برنامه رو شروع کنیم. ممنون. دوستان لطفا بفرمایید بنشین که ما برنامه رو شروع کنیم. مرسی. Hello everyone. Thank you again for coming to Plug and Play, and thank you again for attending the Persian Tech Network. Another month having another event, and welcome to your home. As I mentioned before, this is home for everyone to come here and build their community. So everyone welcome to come and join us. If you have any questions, and if you are a founder, if you are entrepreneurs, if you are not connected with the VC community, investor community, tech people community, if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask us. Me and Ahmad Reza, we are here to help you. And also, if you have any question, to come and pitch your idea here. If you know any, if you have a interesting experience in your journey and you wanted to share with the other Persian community, you are more than welcome to come here. For today, we split our program to different parts. The first part is online pitching. We have two startups pitching virtually. And after that, we have fireside chat with Salman and Ramin. And after fireside chat, we are going for two in-person pitching. So we are starting with Hamed, the first startup, Adra.ai. So, hi Hamed, you can start your pitch.
My share screen is still disabled. Not sure if you guys have my pitch up there, but I can go ahead. So my name is Hamid, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Other Vision. I've been a dentist and a practice owner for over a decade, definitely long enough to know the problems in the dental industry. Dental practices lose thousands of dollars each day. Firstly, because the dentist miss pathologies up to 40% of the times. And secondly, because they have a very low treatment acceptance rate. This results in a cumulative loss of over $200 billion annually. On the other hand, dental insurers report an estimated loss of over $12 billion each day due to their ineffective and outdated claim validation process. There are 760,000 dental practices in 73 major countries and over 200 dental insurance companies in the US. This gives us a $5 billion market, which we plan to capture a third of it. Our software uses cutting-edge machine learning techniques to process dental x-rays as well as intraoral pictures and show everything you need to know about them within seconds. For dentists, this automates pathology detection and record taking, which results in more accurate diagnosis and significant time saving. A lengthy process that takes at least 15 minutes in the hand of a good dentist takes only a few seconds when they use our software. For dental insurance companies, they currently have no efficient way to audit their claims, and our software can streamline their claim validation, allowing them to check every single claim that comes in a short amount of time. This saved them a ton of time and money. We did a clinical trial with 12 dentists, and we've shown a significant increase in dentist diagnostic accuracy, taking them from 56% on their own all the way to 79% when they use our revision. Currently, we have 49 active users and 2 dental insurance companies in the trial phase. Last month, we have processed over 13,000 x-rays, which account for 91% of the total x-rays they took. Also, we continuously improve our software as our beta users continue to use our software. And this helped us to increase our accuracy by 1.5% every quarter for the last 3 quarters. One of our pilots is an insurance processing company, and they process over 100,000 x-rays a day, which can potentially bring us a steady $30,000 revenue per month. Our primary customers are dental insurance companies and dental practices, and we reach them either directly or in bulk through partnership with claim processing companies and practice management systems. We will charge our customers a monthly subscription fee, and we have different tiers to cater to different type of customers. Employing artificial intelligence in dentistry is novel, and we are pioneering this arena. Considering that dentists have a very limited time to spare, we have made our software such that the dentists need little or no training. In fact, 82% of our users started using our software on their own without booking a training session with us. Also, we provide the market's most precise diagnostic solution, achieved by combining visual examination via intraoral pictures with meticulous X-ray analysis. This not only ensures high diagnostic accuracy, but also aligns us with our primary objective of patient education, leading to a notable increase in treatment acceptance rate. We have built a strong technical, clinical, and regulatory team. I'm a clinic owner and a dentist. My co-founder Yasaman is a second-time founder with a PhD in biomedical engineering. My other co-founder Shifang is a computer vision expert and has worked on Singapore's first autonomous bus. We are raising $1 million in seed to help us to reach our revenue milestones. Don't miss a thing again in your mouth. See everything. We are Outer Vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Hamed. If you have any questions from Hamed and from Adra.ai, now is the time. You have 2 to 3 minutes to ask your questions.
Excuse me, do you need for your software FDA approval?
There are 2 parts into the software. There is one backbone that we use both for dental insurance companies and dental offices. When dental insurance companies are using it, there's no need for any FDA approval or any other clearances. But when it's used in a dental office, you need FDA clearance. It's a 510K, it's a 1HQ software. So basically it takes about 100 days. We're in the middle of it. Clearance comes in November.
Any question?
Hi, what countries is your software being deployed right now?
So our target markets are the US and Australia. These are our two major target markets, but obviously because of the restrictions that Dental Connects, we are using it in multiple different countries that have no regulations. One example of that is Thailand, Vietnam, Mexico. So it's already being used over there, and some of those pilots are already paying us. In the US and in Australia, which are our target markets, we have pilots which are not paid users. For dental insurance companies, we're already using it by two dental insurance companies here in the States.
And the last question.
Thank you very much. Do you have any competitor in this field?
Yeah, there are a minimal number of competitors because this is a new thing. It's been most of them been in market to 3 to 4 years. The worthy ones, the ones that are at our stage right now, are Pearl, Overjet, Denteo, and Vidia. So these are the four major, competitors in the market right now.
Thank you, Hamid-Jan, for your great presentations. We will share your information with the audience. So if they have any other questions or the interest, they will reach out to you later. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For the next virtual presentation, we have Shayan from Powerhouse. So he will start. His presentation. I mean, you're mute.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shayan. I'm sorry, I was just talking on mute. So nice to meet everyone. I am a second-time founder. Formerly, I built Curegram.com and Sick.org, which in the following slides, I'll briefly talk about it. Powerhouse is an AI-powered software assembly line. What it means is that we have brought the software development lifecycle to the cloud, and we allow companies to plug into that assembly line instead of building their own, which that is the common practice in the software companies. The story comes from the company that I built previously. It was called Sick.org. During COVID, we were able to scale to about $20 million in annual revenue. And the only reason we couldn't scale beyond that was not because the demand was not there, but because we couldn't scale the functionalities that we want fast enough. We launched the service. So during COVID, we were generating about $200 profit per COVID test that we were selling. And we realized that our test sites are limited to the radius around them for people that could serve. And we thought if we can deliver COVID tests to people's house, it would generate a lot of money. And we launched that service, and overnight, it went from 0 to $3 million in monthly revenue within 1 or 2 months. And we got to a point that we could literally not scale beyond. And you can imagine that literally across the table, there's $100 million that you can reach out and grab, and we couldn't do that. And the reason was that we had reached our operation capacity, and we had to build softwares to dispatch the drivers and manage inventory and so forth. And all of the work were, custom software. Now, the problem was there's a lot of people who work remotely. The remote workforce is pretty huge, but we couldn't scale up and down very quickly because we couldn't identify what is the capabilities of people, how are they available for work or not, and a few other factors. So it was a very painful experience for us, and I remember those days, and it was kind of a mission for me that in my next company, that's what I'm going to try to solve. So if you're an employer, there are multiple problems that you face with remote work. One of them is that you don't know whether or not they're being productive. It's very difficult to measure their productivity. It is very slow to ramp them up in your project and onboard them. Like they're oftentimes working full time for a company, and they're not available quickly for them to like join a project. And development speed is low, which I can explain about that in a different slide, that how we use AI in order to further speed that up. So the vision that we have for Powerhouse, which is kind of becoming alive, it's basically coming to fruition, is a VP of engineering or a CTO can plug in Powerhouse to their project management tool, Jira or whatever. They can see a list of tasks that we import from their Jira. They can see a price for each task, and they can just make a payment and those tasks get done within hours or days. Now, we have been active for about 6 months, and that, like I said, that vision to some extent has come to reality. The way it works is that currently in the traditional product development, it's a human that writes product PRD, which is product requirement documents, and there's humans who write codes. And in order for us to speed up this process, we have also integrated AI. So a lot of the PRD is written by AI and it's reviewed by human, and a lot of code is also generated by AI and also written by human. But what the end result is for the customer is really that they are able to get work done faster, cheaper, and it's a scalable model. We call it an elastic model, which can scale up or down. So you don't need to maintain an overhead of full-time employees. It is a challenge of almost every company that they never have the right amount of work. Sometimes they're underworked and sometimes they're overworked. And you can see that challenge existed before AWS with servers, that a lot of companies had a lot of servers that they didn't use. And a lot of companies had needed more servers that they had to go like to different websites, buy them. It was quite challenging, whereas AWS solved that problem. So we only charge for outcomes. We do not charge for hours. And employers don't need to work about team building. It is elastic and it's done by us. They just need to tell us what they need to get done and we'll get it done for them. And also employers do not need to worry about monitoring remote workforce, which is a challenge of a lot of employers, and that's why they're asking people to come back to office. Customers love our solutions. We have, like I said, they have been active for about 6 or 7 months. We're currently adding about 2 to 3 customers a week, and we're scaling that up. The team that is engaged, we started with 2 co-founders, myself on the operation and development side, and I met a gentleman who is very strong in sales, and he leads the sales and lead generation, and I lead the assembly line operation. And there are also 70 other people who help us with different teams. We have multiple teams that I've only mentioned 5 of them here. We have talent acquisition team, lead generation team, operations team, data reporting team, and finance team. And together, about 70 something people are running this company. We have grown in terms of manpower, we have grown about 10x. And in terms of customers, we have grown a little less than that, but currently we're in the scaling process of the lead generation and revenue. That's all. Thank you. If you need to reach out to me, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can email me, shayan@powerhouse.so. And here's my phone number, so I'll pause on this screen. If you want to take a photo or send me a message, I'll be available. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Shayan, for your presentations. If you have any questions from Shayan, let me know.
Hi there. I was interested in what's the primary target market that you have for scale of development houses. So, for example, enterprise software is different than startup or small scale product. So, I'm curious, what is your primary market target?
Yeah, our ICP or ideal customer profile we basically have two ICPs. So one ICP is customers that do not have an engineering in-house engineering team, and those could be any companies you can imagine. It could be a cannabis company, it could be a trucking company, it could be a travel company, and we have all of those customers. And the second ICP that we have recently launched is tech companies that are angel pre-seed and seed. We have talked to multiple Series B companies, but almost all of them have expressed security as a concern. So we don't see them as a target audience today, but that's something within the next 8 to 12 months we'll be able to approach. And we don't quite think we're ready for Series A company, but that's Series A companies probably will be ready for them within the next 4 months. So to further answer that question, the way we look at our audience is what is the number of engineering team that they have. So we started with 0. Now we're expanding to 2, 3, 4 people. Oftentimes they look at us as a staff augmentation. And we have had customers like SaaS companies that, one person without an engineering team or with one engineering team is building that entire product through us. And, it's been great for them because they didn't need to carry a lot of, manpower. But anyways.
Thanks. Second question. Great pitch. My name is Shahram Yousefi Shahinjan. My question is twofold. One, in terms of tech stack, given that you're small, you've had great success so far. Are you focusing on a particular tech stack? One. Two, I don't quite get the pricing. It's outcome based, but can you give us an example of how the pricing could work?
Yeah, so the tech stack, we're limited to about 5 or 6 different tech stacks that are the most popular ones. You can imagine what those are: Node.js, React, Bubble, Webflow in some extent. There's a lot of design work that they use Figma. So the Flutter is another tech stack. So those are the popular tech stacks. We tend not to go to other areas for now because it just needs us to scale our operation beyond what we have right now. And but at some point, the goal will be eventually to scale to every tech stack. Sorry, what was the second question?
The pricing, outcome-based pricing.
The pricing. So we have a logic. So every time a customer submits a request for fulfillment, that's what we internally call it. There is a team that, using AI and manual labor, we file a number of tasks and we estimate them. And there's a logic that we use for estimation of time and cost. And that logic changes day by day, but it's a logic that we use. We price them. The customer sees. Some customers have retainers with us that we basically count towards that. Some customers we pay for a project. They pay for a project which includes hundreds of tasks. Some customers may want to pay for 5 tasks. So that's just the way we collect payment. But so there's just a pricing logic in place.
Thanks.
Yeah, and then that I'll add to that as our talent pool, so there's a lot of the work so one of the things we think about a lot is elasticity of our company. And that's a very big topic because in my previous company, we were at a point that we had $4 million of revenue per month. And all of a sudden, COVID kind of went down and we had $2.5 million of burn per month. And that was a, very challenging experience for us. So we stress test our financial models, both on, on the side that we're succeeding, we're doing really well. And on the side that things don't work out. So we tend to have elastic workforce, which means freelancers or gig workers. And as the talent pool of our gig workers expand, the cost of our operation will decrease. And that will enable, and so is true with the utilization of AI. So the more we can use AI, the more we can lower the cost of production, and that we can also pass that cost savings to the clients.
Thanks. Last question.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. How do you manage the software lifecycle after you deliver the initial product? After you deliver the code, how do you manage bugs, maintenance, upgrades? I mean, any AI-generated code or human-generated code, you're bound to have issues or upgrades after maybe 2, 3, 6 months. Have you been through that life cycle, and what do you do with that? Thank you.
Yeah, so those are customers that they basically come to us with a full-fledged product that they want to build, and then once the product is built and delivered, we put them on a retainer, depending on the size of the project. And then every bug is essentially another task. We give them a 90-day guarantee for what we have delivered, 60 or 90 day. Actually, it might be 60 days. But and then after that, whatever bugs come in or whatever change requests come in, we just count it as a task. We build them towards their retainer. Oftentimes, the issue that we see is not quite the bugs. Yes, there are bugs, but what we see is that when the softwares that are actively being used by users, they need a lot of iterations on it. So they keep coming back for us to make a lot of changes as opposed to having bugs. Yes, we have bugs, but those are much less number of tasks that we deal with.
Thanks, Shayan John. Do we have a time for another question? You can reach out to Shayan later so you can ask your question. We don't have time. Now I'm inviting Sam to for the in-person pitch, and Sam will pitch Tom Zone.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam. I co-founded TimeZone and co-pilot, AI co-pilot for mobile usability testing, and I'm so excited to be here. So we decided to build TimeZone when my co-founder and I decided to test our idea to make sure we are building the right product. As you know, the reason behind failure of most of the startups is to build the wrong product, and we wanted to make sure we are putting our time and money in the right direction. That's why it was so important for us to evaluate our idea, but it was so complicated for us because we had no knowledge about usability testing. Hiring a user researcher was so expensive and out of our budget because we were a small startup. And the data collected by typical user testing softwares was so limited. That's why we ran a research, and we find that that's a typical problem between most of the startups. As you can see, like 60% of the startups don't hire like user researchers, 65% of them don't have deep knowledge in user research. So we decided to build our own tool to solve that problem. With TimeZone, we use AI to reduce the cost and time for testing and analyzing the prototypes and apps. And with TimeZone, we provide actionable insight to make smarter decision for people to understand what's the best next step for the app to build. And also we have a mobile app which has a unique experience for user testing. As you may know, the current apps in the market, they use like web views for testing, which is a different experience. So we try to solve that problem as well with TimeZone. Using TimeZone is so easy. It integrates with most popular tools in the market. For example, you can integrate it with Figma, and you can start testing. So TimeZone helps you to define your usability test plan. It helps you to identify UX problems with AI, and then it helps you to collect valuable data, like, for example, emotions. When the user is using your app, is he happy, or is he sad, or is it confused? And analyzing the analyzing the voice tone or eye tracking even without external hardware. As you may know, the eye tracking hardware costs at least $1,000 or $2,000, and we do it just by phone camera without having external hardware. We have a plan to support those hardwares later, but for now, you just need a phone. It captures a lot of valuable data, and it provides a good insight for you to understand, is that a right step for me to take or not? And it's a very important process because you need day by day to evaluate your ideas to build the right product for your target audience. For now, we are targeting designers who to test prototypes, and that's our niche market. We try to extend our market later, but for now we are focused on this specific part of market, which is a bit quiet and it's good for us. Our target market is startups with no user researchers, sole product designers and product managers, and this is a general overview of our, Figma plugin and our website to define tests. As you may know, the test market is so huge, and we believe we can get like 25% of usability testing market by 2028, which is huge. And our revenue model is to give freemium to users who want to test it for one project and 5 test users. And we're going to charge based on test users later from $99 up to $299 based on the features and other possibilities you can use in the app. We believe the average money per user is going to be $125. And for getting new users, we use integration. So we are building tons of integrations with popular tools in the market like Figma, Jira, and other popular ones. And we have a plan to use their marketplace and their community for growing organically. So we believe on organic growth. We have other type of streams like educational contents and design events, but our main stream is going to be integrations. Our team, Parham, has a lot of experience with working on product side with many successful products, and I was an engineer guy most of the times, spending my whole career in startups. And we have an awesome advisor who has a PhD in same subject and working on a multi-billion-dollar unicorn as a head of UX research. Currently, we are testing with few beta users, and we have a plan for our public release in next few weeks. And we have more exciting features in near future, like AR, VR testing in next coming years. And if you're excited to test the next generation of usability testing, just send us an email. That's beta@tom.zone. So send us an email, and you can have a beta test account for testing it. I will be happy to answer if you have any questions. Thank you so much.
The only question. Thank you. It was really great presentation. The question I have is that how do you figure the persona? This is it's a step in the very beginning to be able to give a right prompt to the generative AI algorithm. I think this is so challenging because you need the user, they monitor the behavior, and then you can ask your algorithm or platform you have.
We are testing different ways to define the persona. Right now, we are testing to write a brief summary about what you expect. And based on that, we generate different usability testings. And also, we monitor many other things like face detection and everything in the way to fine-tune it later. But what we are testing right now is to write a short, brief summary at the beginning and describe.
Yeah, thanks. May I ask what generative AI algorithm or a platform you use if it's not part of your secret sauce?
Oh, no, it's not. So we have a, we trained OpenAI part for now, but we are testing other generative AIs in the same time.
Thank you, Shahram, for your presentation. Now I'm inviting Ali Reza to pitch his venture.
Thank you. Hey everyone. So my name is Ali Reza Bolurchi, and I'm the CEO and co-founder at CatchUp. It's the first AI employee manager. We are personalizing management for every single employee in a firm. First, I want to ask a question. Have you ever been an employee, with raising your hand, let me know, an employee who had a manager, or you've been a manager who had reports? Awesome. So that's my crowd. So now let me ask this question. Have you been, if you've been a manager, have you ever been in a situation that you didn't know what feedback to give to your employee? Or if you had a critical feedback that you wanted to give to your employee, you didn't know how to do it. It was uncomfortable. Or if you've been an employee, have you been ever uncertain what your manager think about you? If you've been in any of those situations, raise your hand. Fantastic. So I've been training managers and employees. I trained more than 200 managers over the course of my career. And I've worked with more than 1,000 employees over the years. One important issue that I've seen in every single employee and manager is uncertainty about where they stand and what they want to do next. And with CatchUp, we try to solve this problem. So my co-founder and I, who I will introduce in a bit, he's a CEO, he's a founder and CEO for several startups. We found these big problems that exist. Employee evaluations are really costly. At least 210 hours per manager per year goes for evaluating employees. Still, 81% of employees are unsatisfied with the feedback that they receive. And they're very inaccurate. And as you see, the employee turnovers are really high. It's 560 billion annually right now. And with Gen Z and millennials getting into market and they're only looking for life, they want to have work that they like and not just get paid, that's even going higher. You might have heard of Great Resignation and silent quitting. So here's CatchUp, an AI-powered manager that automates and personalizes tasks around performance evaluation, talent retention, employees and teams productivity, and hiring and layoff decisions. How do we do that? CatchUp has two big parts. The first one is an AI-powered data collection. It works like a conductor with the network of people and the tools that the companies are using. And using that, it connects to people, it builds that network, it connects to Jira, Zoom, Slack, whatever they do, captures their information, it knows where to go and get those information, and it does live data analysis. It runs 2/3 of one-on-one sessions, and whenever they need it, reach out to human managers to bring them in, but that reduces the amount of work managers need to do. It also generates live performance reviews. So it works like a polyhedric mirror that everyone sees where they stand within an organization. The teams know where they stand and what to do next. And it's also going to suggest them actionable insights, how to get better in what they do. So our team, I believe, is our strength. Sammy and I met when we went to middle school, high school. We went to the same university. We came to the US almost together. And I already advised him in one of his startups. He's been in a startup scene for a long while now. I, on the other hand, I did my PhD in computer science. I've been serving as I served as a vice president as a $3 billion game company. And also I worked as the organizational change lead at giants like Visa and KLA. So I think together we could solve that problem. What makes Ketchup is really unique is that it's the only personalized AI manager. It's gamified. Of course, I'm from game industry. I wanted to do that. It gamifies and not using surveys. It's 13x more accurate feedback. It's based on data. And at the best, at the end of the development, it will eliminate 90% of managers' tasks. Our go-to-market is bottom-up, and we are going to use social enterprise approach. The market is really huge. Our niche is going to be small US startups. First, because they are within our network. We are both tech, and we have a lot of connection. But the most important thing is HR is really costly for US tech startups. And they're not good. Startups are about people, and we believe we can handle people much better than traditional HR management. So our SaaS enterprise subscription, we are charging $3 to $7 per user per month. And our gamified social enterprise, where people can work with each other, send each other gifts, we are going to charge processing fee on those, which is about $10 to $30 per user per month. So far, we tested it over 30 plus teams. For our first version, the last version that we released, we are working on a mid-sized enterprise proof of concept, and then we are already onboarding 2 startups. And that was me. I'm Alireza Boluchi, and send me your questions, and if you want to reach out, alireza@ketchup.com.
Thank you, Alireza. Since we don't have time, only one question.
Thank you so much for your presentation. So I'm just wondering, how do you see the privacy and the security of the data that you're collecting in your product?
So each company will get their own database, and based on our privacy, so we are using, of course, SSOs for company team members to use it. And then, of course, the privacy policy, like, if anybody terminates or the company terminates, removing all those data, and each company gets their own database. So that's the extent. I mean, did I answer your question, or?
Yeah, I'm just talking about not the data in transition, the data at rest at your company. So how do you see the privacy? Because you're collecting the data from the employees and etc. So how do you actually manage the security and privacy of those data that are at rest at your company, so at your product?
It's completely cloud-based, so it's on AWS.
So it's based on the AWS
yes.
security. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Alireza John, for your great presentation.
Yeah,
Alireza is here, so if you have any questions after our fireside chat, you can find him and ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now it's a fireside chat time, so I'm inviting Saeed John to come here and moderate the fireside chat. Thank you.
Roshan, can you get my mic working? Thank you. Okay. Hello, welcome to another session of Fireside Chat for Plug and Play Persian Tech Network. Tonight we are going to have 2 fireside chats because we have 2 gurus, 2 outstanding people who are going to talk about their respective fields and their experiences. And I'm sure you're going to learn a lot about them. And you're going to learn about how to start a company, how to develop an idea, and that's why you're here. But before we get to that, I have been asked to do a quick survey. How many people are into data science, machine learning over here? And for the rest of the people, what are you doing? Okay, how many people are in biotech? How many people are not in data science and in not biotech? Okay, and you have to define yourself. How many people are investors over here? We have one. Yeah, you can stand up. Everybody can harass you. Well, I think you're all investors because you have invested your time to come over here and spend time with people who have been very successful in their fields and to learn their secret sauce. We have two gurus over here, and we cover two areas. One of the areas I need my glasses to be able to see. We have Mr. Salman. Is it working? Yeah. Salman Avestimer, who is a guru in distributed machine learning and trusted systems. And we have Ramin Farjad, who is an autonomous vehicle networking expert and a chiplet-based systems. A lot of this we are going to go through and you'll learn from them. But our first participant is Mr. Salman Avestimer. I would invite him to come over here. Please give him a warm welcome. Please have a seat. And I would like to make, as a way of introduction, I would like to make a list of Mr. Avestimer's achievements. Sharif alumni. How many people are Sharif alumni over here? All right, see, you're at home. Berkeley PhD. Berkeley, we don't hold it against you, but that's okay. Taught E and CS at Cornell and USC. He's an Amazon scholar, IEEE fellow, and you know how important that is and how difficult it is to become an IEEE fellow. Receiver of the Presidential Award for Outstanding Early Career Scientist. President Obama gave you that award. Director of the Information Theory and Machine Learning Research Lab at USC. CEO of FedML, Federated Machine Learning. And the list goes on and on. Mr. Avestimer, welcome to Persian Tech.
Thank you very much.
Let's take it from the beginning. You grew up in Iran. You went to Sharif. How did studying at Sharif prepare you for doing your eclectic academic work over here? Because you started in academia, you taught, and you did a lot of research.
Yeah, I think the typical path is, Iran is great in building foundations in sciences, like math and physics. So we are all good at that. It's like similar style maybe to France, like that's a French education. So on that side, I think the students from Iran well prepared, and you typically pick careers in, or you go towards higher education in science, engineering. So that's the level of preparation you get.
And in order to get to Sharif, you had to pass the concours. What was your rank in your concours?
Yeah, I was 2.
You were number 2.
Yeah.
Excellent. And last time I asked this, how many people are 2-digit concours over here? Oh, we have a lot of them. 2 digits. That's not shabby. Not number 2, but 2 digits. Okay. In your extensive career, you worked in both academia and industry. How has this dual experience influenced your approach to research and innovation, particularly in areas like machine learning and blockchain systems?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. I think maybe if you think about in academia, the main important thing is what is the problem you work on. And the advantage is actually you can work on problems that are irrelevant and still nobody can fire you. That's the beauty of academia. But I think the advantage is if you know maybe you have a foot in industry, you can pick the right problems. Maybe there are very good examples of it. Maybe Berkeley, you can think about Jan Stoiko at Berkeley, great experience on doing in both places like Databricks. Right? So that's the advantage you would get, like picking the right problem to work on. I think that has influenced my group a lot. Students get more excited because they know what are the trending problems. Maybe the papers they write, people read them, they get impact in practice. And then, when you start the company, you also have been solving problems that can be useful there.
Very good. Machine learning and information theory, they have an overlap. They have an intersect. And can you explain the intersection between these two disciplines and how they contribute to the advancement of in technology and communication?
Yeah, I mean, they have some intersect, but maybe that's one way to view it. You see, information theory is more of modeling of information systems.
Mm-hmm.
For example, information theory was very useful in communication systems. Like the first, maybe think about the cellular companies, Qualcomm. You know, they were very successful information theorists that were involved in those companies. The same thing in machine learning, there are many abstractions you can think about defining. Right? These abstractions could be at the algorithmic layer. For example, information theoretic metrics are typically used for assessing how the information flows through neural networks, like how to define a metric, your loss function for training, etc. But I think more generally is a discipline to think about the abstraction, simplifying the problems. For us, it's more of the system view of machine learning systems. Like my area is more at the intersection of machine learning and systems, where it's very challenging to design machine learning systems. And that's where we use a lot of the tools there. Another place is trustworthiness in machine learning. Like, you know, some people are also ask questions on that. Privacy, security are obvious, maybe metrics, but you can think about maybe new notions of trustworthiness. For example, you talk to a chatbot, maybe OpenAI chat, you want to figure out how much can you trust the answer, right? The problem with that is if you talk to me, you ask me a question, if I don't know it, I can be very honest and say I don't know that. But the chatbot is very authoritative, you know, memorizes and, you know, answers you a question. So how would you assess maybe uncertainty in a chatbot is a foundational question. And for that, you know, there are metrics in information theory from entropy you can use, but those are basic starting points. Like I see a lot of innovation could come there for uncertainty, you know, safety of the chatbot. So in general, you know, information theory, that's the advantage. It's a tool that spans several layers and one can use that.
And part of that trust issues you're trying to solve by not keeping all the information in a central place and a federated machine learning, and we will get to that. You have an advisory background in Amazon Alexa AI. What are some of the challenges and opportunities you see in the development of an AI-driven voice assistant, and how is the field evolving?
Yeah, very good. Actually, Alexa is a very good example of a B2C, like to consumer use of machine learning, maybe much before OpenAI and the chatbots. It's like in everybody's house. Maybe you buy one, you put in your daughter's bedroom, right? So you can think about it. I mean, it's so sensitive. I mean, these devices can hear, can talk to your child, can have cameras in the new versions.
Can we trust they're not listening?
Yeah, so the answer to that one is yes, actually, they have good mechanisms, but you can be hacked. That's a whole different story. But nevertheless, in Alexa, actually, we started USC Amazon Center on Trustworthy Machine Learning. And that was really thinking about trustworthiness of a device, machine learning based, that you bring it to your home. And you know, being transparent on what are the potential weaknesses, what are the potential strengths, like the question you ask. I mean, are they listening? Can they be hacked? To some extent, if you work like you are in Amazon, you are a company, you have to be very conservative in your answers. They never answer you. But the beauty is that when you bring those research problems to academia, like everything is open, you can study, you can publish potential, you know, dangers of these systems.
Privacy and security are critical concerns in today's digital landscape. I mean, you talked about my daughter's bedroom, Alexa being over there. I mean, I can't see anything higher than that. How does your work addresses the issues, especially in the context of federated learning and decentralized system? How does that help?
I think you are referring to the company that we started, FedML.
Yeah.
We started by federated machine learning.
Okay.
Which is like a technology to learn from data without sharing.
Yeah, the data stays on the customer side, so I can trust. But you have to send something, some aspects of it.
Excellent. So these technologies, typically they start by maybe in the context of Alexa in your house, all the data stays in your house, you locally train a model, and then these locally trained models would be sent to the cloud, aggregated, and then you only learn the aggregate model. Think about it as like aggregate intelligence across many devices. Okay, so now the potential problem for that is from these aggregate models, could you invert them and maybe learn some of the data?
Yes.
Yeah, those are possibilities. There are research community are pushing on those. But I think maybe to put it in perspective is, if today we are here on privacy, that all the data leaves your house and goes to the cloud.
You're comparing it to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, we have a very low standard today on privacy, right? You know, the data companies keep collecting our data and making a lot of money on that. This is like a very good starting step to bring data ownership to people. Maybe you can decide what data could be used in training models. And then if you want to contribute, you contribute. If you don't want to contribute, you don't contribute that. But originally, that was our starting point to think about, you know, like the area of federated machine learning.
Keeping the data decentralized, doesn't it push, I mean, you have to send some aspects of the data. Doesn't that increase the data, the bandwidth required?
That's why it's challenging. Meaning that typically you would think the bottleneck is going to be communication because you do a lot of on-device training, right? And then you have to communicate a lot. The magic is, you know, you don't need to, like for example, in a general distributed machine learning on the cloud, after each epoch, maybe you have to do communicating the models. In federated learning, you can do many more local training and communicate much less.
So you save on those, but you might get into a bottleneck of the information has to go from the learned portion to the actual center.
Correct.
You have seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. The field of machine learning is rapidly evolving. What are some of other recent breakthroughs or developments that you believe will have a profound impact on the industry or society as a whole? What else are we waiting for?
Yeah. Actually, we experienced it in FedML. It's like as soon as we started the company, the whole Gen AI thing happened, and we had to keep pivoting and finding new things. Originally, we thought data is the bottleneck, right? The technology is learned from decentralized data, which is still a lot of demand for it. Like many data companies, they don't want to collect the data because of maybe GDPR, DMA, etc. But then, because of the Gen AI, there is a lot of decentralized compute, and the compute shortage is becoming important, right? For us, we are a decentralized technology. So for example, something that we have done is federated learning and FedML can be used for accessing GPUs, right? So for example, there are many GPU providers. Right now, if you want to use one, maybe you want to use AWS, you go there, you maybe hook up with them, install, get instances, and then tomorrow somebody tells you Lambda has better pricing. Somebody tells you, you know, CoreWeave is coming with better pricing. That's another example of decentralized compute resources, not the data. So for example, something that these couple of years there is shortage, and I think decentralized technology like Uber can get, you know, make access to compute much easier. So for example, in FedML, in the new offering, we build FedML launch any machine learning task. It's like an Uber style. The same way as Uber uses decentralized cars to serve your task. Right now you can find resources across any cloud provider or GPU provider to serve your job.
Do you think those hardware, the H100 boxes, are going to be the bottleneck soon?
I think maybe this year, next year, in the next 2 years, the belief is that you need H100 to develop, you know, your best machine learning. I think that's the hype that NVIDIA is pushing for. Like you think if you want to be competitive on ML, you need to buy the high-end machines. I think it will saturate maybe 2 years from now for two reasons. One is, first of all, on the research side, you hear maybe people can serve LLMs on the phone. Soon they start training them on maybe even lower end GPUs, maybe eventually getting serving to the CPU. So it means that the research is pushing to making it easier on lower end GPUs. The other side is maybe you don't need many, right? Right now everybody is developing many foundational models. That's
Yes.
where you need many high-end GPUs.
Mhm.
But maybe there is going to be a couple of base foundational models on vertical, and everybody uses them for fine-tuning and building the solutions.
So there is going to be some
Yeah.
sharing of those resources. You advise for buying those hardware modules, or stay away from it and let systems like AWS handle it?
Yeah, I advise for my expectation is in the next 2 years,
To
there
buy.
is going to be, GPU market going up.
Yeah.
After that, maybe data becomes another commodity. Maybe the models you train become the commodity.
Excellent.
So, but anyway, that's my guess.
For aspiring researchers and professionals in machine learning and related fields, and I'm sure many of them are here in the audience, what advice do you have for staying at the forefront of innovation and for making meaningful contributions to the field? What should people do?
Oh, that's a very general question. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
limited
I
to the
mentioned
machine
in my
learning.
perspective. Yeah,
Yes.
I think for us is building a moat is very important, especially in machine
Building a
learning.
moat.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's kind of in machine learning. You see everybody maybe try to build something quick.
Uh-huh.
In the short run, maybe you get lucky and pays off. In the long run, I think worth spending time, meaning that not viewing it necessarily as a very fast race, but as opposed to building a core, right? For example, think about Gen AI. Many people say Google doesn't have a moat, which is not the case. I mean, they have a lot of moat. You just don't see that is not the model they built.
They don't
It's
let you
more
know
of
that.
a scaling. They can
Yeah.
build a scalable machine learning system. So the question is like those modes, how do you position yourself as building something that is not replicated easily? So that's, I think, the view that we have.
If you think that was general, I'm going to ask an even more general question. What advice would you offer to budding entrepreneurs who want to work on their own ideas, raise capital, and start their own startup, hoping to hit a jackpot or capture a unicorn?
I think that's also field dependent, but maybe in machine learning, I mean, that's the topic I know more, and software. At least something we tried in university, and you see many startups from university, they start by open source. It's kind of you test the market, you check the product market fit by releasing open source, figuring out the adoption. And I think it's a safer bet in the sense that before you are starting the company, you figure out the adoption, you get the usage. The challenge is making money out of open source, right? You have to figure out how you are gonna make the money out of that. But that to me is safer. You get to know, like check it with low risk.
Mm.
The other side of it is maybe being less conservative in the sense of there are ideas that you may think maybe I put it in perspective. For example, federated learning, we started by solving a much more difficult problem of training machine learning models over mobile phones.
Mhm.
Much simpler one is just doing it on the cloud. And then, recent ML ops that got acquired $1 billion. Not that it's easier, but it's kind of, you don't need to go after the most difficult problem, nail it before launching a company, right? So put that in perspective where you want to operate and when you start.
When you said less conservative, or less conservative, as you said,
Yeah.
do you mean like share ideas because people are not after your ideas, it's execution? That's my interpretation.
Oh,
of-
no. Actually, for that one, I meant being open source. You share everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. But what I meant was don't think you have to solve really difficult problems
Yeah.
to have a business impact.
My last question before we get hopefully to some of your questions, so be prepared for one or two questions after this. Blockchain technology has gained significant attention in recent years. What are the most promising applications of blockchain systems you view, and how do they relate to your experience in information theory and security/privacy?
Yeah, very good questions actually you're asking. I think Web3 and blockchain, again, they are decentralized technology. That's why I
Yes.
admire them. I really love them, and also bodes well with what we are doing. Typically, they're very good at building incentive mechanisms and marketplace. Right? So that's one scenario. Maybe you want to build a marketplace on data, compute. and incentive around that,
Mhm.
meaning that people contribute their data, but they stay around. Okay, so blockchain is fantastic in that. You see, the blockchain communities don't disappear. People
Yes.
stick to it because they have a lot of stake in the game and very strong incentive. The other one is the transparency and trustworthiness.
Mhm.
Right? For example, blockchain systems are fully open. You can audit them. You can check everything. Like you can build a proof of work.
Yeah.
You can build various proofs, which I think would be needed in machine learning area. For example, let's say you want to know where is your data being used, or this chatbot is trained on what data, right? Who has been training it? I mean, you hear a lot on the copyright.
Mhm.
Maybe one way to address the copyright is to have more transparency on what data is feeding there. But a short maybe answer to that is I think on building community and incentive mechanism, and the other one, trustworthiness.
The
they
copyright
can
issue opens another can
Yeah,
of worms of a lot of things. I
exactly.
don't think we have time for that, but that would be very interesting. I would like to open the floor to one or two questions as our time may permit. We are running out of time quickly. Anybody? We have a question over here. Can we get a mic over here? Roshan, can we? Oh, Muhammad Reza has it, yes. Thank you.
So very interesting thought. Thank you so much for sharing. So regarding back to the blockchain idea that, and I'm not sure how much you are involved in the human genome data. What is your perspective using the blockchain for human genome data, as it's very large, and the privacy and security of data is so sensitive in healthcare?
Yeah, I haven't been involved in the human genome data, but I think if you are asking for the privacy, right, one approach is, so think about the privacy is your data stays with you, but I need to train my machine learning model on your data and then combining them together. Right? The advantage of blockchain is that you can keep your data, train the model, and prove to me that the model is trained on your data. Right? So that way it becomes trustworthiness, the data ownership stays with you, and then you can get rewarded by how much you contribute. Right? So maybe that's one way.
My concern about the blockchain is that how expensive would be, because it's my understanding that you have multiple copy of the same, let's say, chunk of data. And is it really, you need to have multiple copy across different servers? Is it really the case? If this is the case, then that would be very expensive.
So you mean for bringing your data on-chain, or?
No, the way that the blockchain works. Do you really need that?
So
the
blockchain becomes expensive if you want the data to be on-chain. Because once it is on-chain and then it is stored there, you have to pay, let's say, Ethereum gas fee, right? But what I told you is that your data could stay off-chain. The proof of your computation comes on-chain. That's the way you can make it scalable. If you want to keep bringing, like many people talk about, bring all the data on the chain, and then it's fully transparent, you can train on it. In my opinion, that's not scalable, exactly because you are saying so costly.
Yes.
Like even a smart contract, you want to bring it on chain, you have to pay a lot of Ethereum fee. But it would be more of data stays off chain. The proof of machine learning jobs come on chain. Maybe you do roll up or other things.
Last question. Anybody? Oh, we have a question back there. Can we get the mic over there, please? You can just hand it to people.
So you mentioned about work on trustworthiness of machine learning model or system.
Can you talk a little bit louder, or
Sure.
Sean, can you get it higher? Yeah.
There is a saying that if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And in machine learning, we know that the metric is very important so that we have a good judgment of how we are performing, then we can work on. When the system becomes big, then defining the metric becomes complicated. And when we are dealing with the ideas or the things that are not well defined, like trust, then it becomes even more difficult. Now, in general and in specifically,
yeah.
So I would like to say, if you can say a few words about what metric you use in a problem like trustworthiness. And when the system is complicated, then in what way you define?
How do you measure trustworthiness?
Yeah, that's the golden question. I wish I knew. But typically you break it to layers, meaning that trustworthiness has many spectrum, right? Meaning privacy security, we all know. The newer notion is maybe consistency, right? Then there is gonna be integrity. Then you can have confidence as a way of measuring. But for any of those, you can define various metrics. I mentioned to you one of them that we have done work and we know more is more of confidence of the model. Like you see, a person is trustworthy if they are honest on what they know and what they don't know. That's one measure, right? For that one, you can measure it very well. Means that is this LLM aware of the answer that is giving, right? Or is it just has low bar on confidence? So that one you can define it, and there are different versions. But if you are mentioning it maybe more philosophical, would this LLM really know the problem and the solution of it? How much score does it have? Those are more difficult. You need human in the loop, maybe defining them later. But this area is evolving, meaning we shouldn't expect, think about privacy, right, has been decades in the work. That right now we can measure it, you can have regulations on it. This one, we shouldn't expect like regulations, maybe they can quickly come in to force something quick, but I think it's gonna be a decade work that by next decade, maybe we have nailed this problem.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Plug and Play, Persian Tech Network, and Persian community, I thank you very much for coming over
Thank
here.
you.
I'll take it. And you have a flight to catch, so I hope everything would be fine with that. Our next fireside chat participant is my friend Ramin Farjad Rad, who will join us on top here. Please give him a hand. Welcome, Ramin. Have a seat. This is your mic. And I have a different one. So let's see. You already are familiar with the format. So let me ask you, what was your concours ranking?
I guess I was among the lucky ones. I didn't have to take one.
You didn't have to take. Why? Were you an Olympiad person?
Yes, physics Olympiad.
Physics Olympiad. Where did you go and what did you get?
Went to Poland.
Poland.
Yeah.
And what medal did you get?
A bronze.
A bronze one.
Yeah.
Okay. But still you didn't have to do that. Excellent. Ramin Farjad Rad, the list goes on. Stanford PhD, go Stanford. Worked at Rambus and Sun Microsystems. I worked at Sun at the time you were over there. Co-founder and CTO of Aquentia for almost 15 years. Chairman of the Technical Committee NAV Alliance, Networking in Autonomous Vehicles for 4 years. CTO VP at Marvell, working on connectivity solutions. And founder and CEO of Alien Corporation, accelerating a smarter future by revolutionizing chiplet-based systems. Did it cover everything, almost everything that you did? Well, there could
Almost,
be.
yeah.
You went to Sharif.
That's right.
What made you come to the United States? Why did you leave Iran?
Actually, the main reason was back then in Iran, I wanted to pursue electronics, IC chips, and in fact, the first thing I thought I'm gonna go do when I come here was doing an AI chips. This is way back then, and those basically technologies were not available in Iran, so it kind of
especially chip making to support AI chips.
Yes, pretty
Who
much.
did you work with at Stanford?
Mark Horvitz and
Mark
Thomas
Horvitz.
Lee. Yeah.
Okay, and after that, or during your studies at Stanford, you worked at Sun. Is that right? You were
correct. Yeah.
And then you founded Aquentia.
Actually, Velio was the first company.
Velio was the first company before that. Okay, what did you do at Aquentia? What was the core of your activities over there?
So, actually, it started Aquentia, but the main focus was the Ethernet PHY technologies.
Okay.
So back then, I remember 1 gig Ethernet was around, and people wanted to go to 10 gig. And there were maybe around 6 companies at the time working on this technology, and everybody said the power was really high because these PHYs were super complex. They were like 20 watts or something, and at these power numbers, they couldn't be basically deployed widely. So I guess we were kind of arrogant and felt that, hey, we can do better. So pretty much maybe 5 years after maybe the first companies started, we started in that field. And good thing in a couple of years we could catch up and do something that was better than others. And most of the companies went away except one big company. Broadcom was our big competitor. And for many years we had challenges.
But so
competing with
arrogance worked there. So at some point you have to be confident about what you're doing, and it may appear as arrogance.
You can say that, yeah, but if I do it again, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, okay, why? You're not a risk taker as much a risk as you took when you were younger?
No, taking actually, I would take more risk than
you would
investing.
take more risk, okay.
Because back then we thought this is established market, we're gonna go and, Ethernet technology was something that made Broadcom, or Marvell technology, they all became tens of billions of dollars, and we thought we were gonna be the third one of doing the third generation of that technology. But we had a big challenge, meaning we had to, by that time Broadcom was big enough and they could, although we were always better, but there was something called like bundling. Like when a big company offered their products, they say, okay, I won't give you just this piece, but I'll give you tons of other pieces, and you have to buy the whole thing from me, rather than just pick the best parts. This is called what bundling. That was become basically...
They did a Microsoft on you, essentially.
Pretty much, you can say that. And for some reason, they could do it,
Yeah.
Nobody tried to break their...
Until they become sued,
monopoly there. And that was one of our biggest challenges, which was the first product. And as a result, we decided to take maybe more risk, meaning figure out we don't want to compete with them continuously on this front, and pick a field that nobody was paying attention, and started doing the technology on that front. And
Which was, what field was it?
This was what we call the enterprise Ethernet. Pretty much since early 2000, all the enterprises were being routed with 1 gig cables or Cat5 cables, like these blue cables you see on the top.
Right.
And they're capable of like up to 1 gig. And with technology demand and bandwidth demand, like wireless went beyond 1 gig to 2 gig, 5 gig, 10 gig. But these cables with existing technology couldn't go there. And the notion that everybody was, well, if you want to go to the next level, you have to change all cabling. Like thousands of cables within the solution, or these buildings. So the idea we had, like, come up with a solution, a technology that can actually push, 2, 5, 10 gig into these cables. So that was something that we created from scratch and turned into standard, and actually pretty much all the Wi-Fi access points you see here right now has our chip right now.
Excellent. Marvell's acquisition of Aquentia in 2019 marked a significant milestone in your career. Could you describe the transition and your role as CTO, VP of Networking and Automotive physical layer at Marvell, especially in the driving the architecture for autonomous Ethernet physical layer up to 50 gigabit per second or per lane? That's what you did at Marvell. But your role changed, right?
Pretty much you can say yes and no in different ways. Like back in Aquentia, in fact, the automotive technology we started at Aquentia. And that was, they call like cars are servers on wheels, and especially the autonomous cars. The big need was how to connect all the pieces, not, the processors, GPUs. There are tons of sensors. There's like, they call it sensor fusions all around the car, not just cameras, but LiDAR, radars, and so on and so forth, that this whole thing has to be connected together efficiently and very reliably. And a key part of it was how to do it, especially in spite of, the car can have, get a lightning, and still the car, the links have to all work and so forth. So that was the kind of technology we started. That was another new kind of solution that we started back then.
In Aquentia?
At Aquentia, yeah.
Aquentia.
And this nav that you mentioned was part of this, because usually when you start a new technology, you need to have support and alliances from the industry. If you just build something and say, hey, here it is, so good, is not going to work. So we started building alliances with car companies, whether it's Volkswagen, Porsche, BMW.
That was the
and so
NAV
on.
alliance.
NAV alliance,
Yeah,
yes.
you're anticipating my next question, but that's okay.
Because it all kind of ties into.
But let me ask you: did Marvel have similar technology, or by acquiring you, they were able to go into that area of the technology?
Marvel was the leader in the low speed technology.
Low
in fact,
speed,
1
okay.
gig technology
Okay.
that they had. In fact, we had a lot of challenges, especially with the Marvel team, as well as making our solution, which was 10 gig to all the way 100 gig, make it a standard.
So in going to Marvel, you not only had to deal with some technical issues, there were some political issues because they already had some people working on a similar issue.
Very much,
okay,
yes.
I see. Okay, that was the question actually. How did you manage the politics and going into that?
I would say it was very difficult. That was my first role as an executive in a public company, which had thousands of people, and realized that I wasn't built for that necessarily. Just like somebody who's been skiing all his life, and after 20 years, they say, okay, take off the skis, put on a snowboard, going down the hill, and I kept falling.
I see. So that was your motivation to go and found Ilion.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, but before we get to that, you were the chairman of the technical committee of NAV Alliance, which is networking and autonomous vehicles. What were the main objectives of the alliance, and how did your leadership contribute to advancing networking technologies in autonomous network vehicle? You answered part of the questions by saying, the requirement, but tell us, tell to the audience, why is this so important to have 50 gigabit per second on a car?
So this all comes back to the fact that, once, especially you're on like level 4 or eventually level 5 autonomous car, that
Level 5 of fully autonomous.
fully autonomous,
Yes.
right? But even at level 4, you need.
What is level 4? What's the difference between, for people who may not know, level 4 and level 4? Level 3 we already have, and Teslas are already level 3.
So level 4 kind of says hands on off wheels, right? But you just need to have your eyes on the road. That's the kind of thing that it is. Level 5 is that
Completely. You
eyes
can
on
go
the road. You
to
can
the
go
back and
sleep.
make a sandwich. And
Exactly,
yeah.
right. So when it gets to those levels, you can say, yes, human beings, they just have 2 eyes and 1 brain and, function it all together. But for a car company, if they have an accident, except if you're Tesla, but any other car company, you have an accident, you get into serious trouble. So especially the German and Japanese car companies, they wanted to make sure that there is 0 chance, like 1 in a billion chance of accident. So for that to happen, you have to, as I said, tons of sensors around the car that are tightly connected to each other with a lot of redundancies and so on and so forth. So in fact, Ethernet was one of those networks that provided a lot of these resiliency to problems. If a part of a network crashes or has an breakdown,
it works.
Still there are other ways to loop back and connect everything, still keep everything connected together. So that was kind of the basis of it, because before that people didn't have necessarily a network in the car. There was just like certain wires connecting point to point. And we wanted to push Ethernet into the car. And to do that, every time you want to take a new notion, a new concept that people are not comfortable with, you have to start talking to them one-on-one, explain to them, get them comfortable, and basically bring them to your turf, and then go and present it to the world. So
a lot of politics.
Yes.
Okay.
And NAV Alliance role was pretty much that, to talk to each one of them separately and bring them on board.
You were the leader there, the chairman, for almost 4 years.
That's right.
So we suppose you succeeded in doing that.
Yeah, eventually basically 2 technologies turned into IEEE standard.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. You are currently the founder and CEO of Ilion Corporation, and you are focused on revolutionizing chiplet-based systems. First of all, explain to us, to the rest of the people, what is a chiplet-based system? It helps with the yield. That's the old purpose of it, but I'm sure it does other things that is more useful for your mission of your company.
Sure. So I'm sure everybody has heard about Moore's Law. Moore's law, or maybe haven't.
Moore's law. Oh no, I misheard this. Moore's law. Yes, I have
Moore's
heard
law,
about this.
which I think maybe about 40 some years ago predicted that every 2
Gordon
years,
Moore,
Gordon
the
Moore at
founder of
Intel.
Fairchild, who later on founded Intel.
Intel,
Yes,
exactly. Yes.
he said what?
That basically every 2 years, the density of the gates or transistor per area will double in a chip, and as a result, the
Nitpicking 1.5
performance-
years, but that's okay. Yeah.
or 1.5 years. There you go. And this actually was a very accurate prediction.
Yes.
And there's a lot of reasons behind it. That and performance, maybe I don't know which cause was, which one was the cause, which one was the effect, but the performance demand for compute was also similar. Every
Yes.
1.5 to 2 years,
Yes.
people wanted something that was twice as fast. But two things happened. First of all, the transistor levels got too closer to the angstrom level, that it was really difficult to build transistors smaller and smaller. And at the same time, AI happened, that like started skyrocketing the demand for high performance.
Yeah.
So people, rather than fitting as many processing power within a certain chip or size, they started growing the chip to the level that the chip couldn't be built any bigger. Like NVIDIA chips, for example, GPU are at the maximum chip size that
Because
the
of
chip
the
can
yield
be.
problem, essentially. Once you make it very big, something goes wrong with it.
Even NVIDIA right now is building the biggest chip possible.
Okay.
So they have other ways with redundancy and so forth. They deal with the
Within
yield.
the chip, yeah.
Within the chip.
Rewire
But
them, yeah, essentially.
going beyond that is not possible.
Yes.
But one way to actually extend that size is to basically tile these chips together and build bigger and bigger chips. So it's not limited by the reticle size of a semiconductor chip and so forth. So that's one angle of it, the Moore's law, or kind of addressing the Moore's law in one way. But the other challenge is Moore's law has been a great way, or basically, to get significant performance out of the chips. In the last 20 years, the performance of a processor or GPU has gone up by 100,000x, effectively.
Yes.
But at the end, a processor needs to process data. The data usually sits in a memory, and this memory has been sitting somewhere off chip, in some other chip in another, connectors and so forth. And the bandwidth bottleneck between the processor chip and so forth has been really limiting this bandwidth. This bandwidth has gone up maybe 30x, 50x in that range, while the other one has gone up by 100,000. So there is more a gap of maybe 1,000x between what the processor can process versus the bandwidth to the memory.
So you can calculate it, but you cannot quickly send it back and forth
Exactly.
to see that.
So
Okay, so how does the chiplet system help with this? Because you pick and choose, or how do you increase the communication between the chips?
pretty much chiplet system says remove or eliminate anything that sits in between the chips, whether it's a package, it's a connector or whatever, put all of them all inside one package, as if they're all sitting on the same chip. The
And do
memory
you pick and choose, or you broadcast to all of them, or?
No, you just eliminate the bandwidth bottleneck between them.
Okay, so that would help the bandwidth problem, essentially.
Yes.
And you've done that. How do you see the role of chiplet-based systems evolving in a broader landscape of technology and semiconductor development? It's not going to be only used for the cars.
No, not only used for the cars. In fact, the biggest use for it right now is generative AI. Actually, or AI and then generative AI. The main chips that are built with chiplets, whether it's NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, or all those chips, they have to use chiplets to address the high power AI requirements.
Okay, so these are chips like, again, as was mentioned, H100. Do they use this technology? They are using it right now?
They are using it right now,
Okay,
yes.
so what is Alien's contribution? What is your goal what to add to this one?
So to build this chiplet or chiplet system, there's a special type of packaging. They call it advanced packaging because it's advanced and complex. And right now, very few companies have access to it, like NVIDIA's or AMD's or Intel, the big, really big companies. And they've, in fact, got a hold on the market on these solutions right
So
now.
this packaging involves 3D, a special
3D,
communication. So that is a hardware-intensive method in order to win the next battle of semiconductor.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see. And you have some ideas how to win through Elion.
So we say rather than finding basically manufacturing way to connect these chiplets together, we give you an electronic way to connect these chiplets together without any of these advanced solution. So basically democratizing the use of chiplets for everybody. So people don't have to resort to, let's say, for example, TSMC, that is currently the main supplier, only supplier of this solution, to basically be able to get that, while the 2-3 big companies that basically have a hold on those.
What's the trade-off? You democratize it, you make it simple, you make it through electronics, but not through fancy configuration or 3D. What do you give?
So there's hardly any negative.
There's no negative.
In that sense, but tons of positive. Even companies like NVIDIA's and so forth can benefit from our solution, because advanced packaging, for the same reason that is advanced and complex, once you start making it larger and larger, the yield drops and challenges comes in.
Yes.
But if you don't use it, then they can build a very large systems.
Excellent.
All inside a single package. So their performance actually can go up by 5x, 10x, 20x as a result.
How big is the company now? How many people?
We are about 50 people.
50. And I don't know if there are any hardware people. Are you hiring?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, people know where to go to after this. I would like to leave some time for questions, and we have a hand raised over there. Can we get a microphone over there, please? It's a long way, so.
Thank you very much.
Please state your name and affiliation. I forgot.
My name is Ehsan Soudi. I'm an engineer at Infinera Corporation. So with regards to the bottleneck of the chip-to-chip communication that you mentioned, how would you see the optical interconnect solution and your technology, actually, with your company, how does it compare with? Because NVIDIA and Intel, as you know, they are also investing in that technology to have basically replace copper with optical.
So,
thanks.
Yeah, very good question. So right now our focus is mainly inside the package, or like intra-package, and our solution is complementary to the optical. Optical, usually when you want to go several meters and connect the larger system together, you go optical. And that's kind of replacement for the way that copper has been, or the solutions that copper has been providing. But then still, to be able to build more higher performance or more effective heterogeneous systems, you need to go chiplet route, meaning you have to have your silicon photonics in a special process, like an SY process, connecting to like a FinFET process in 3 nanometer. So to connect these two efficiently, you either have to go advanced packaging or use our technology. So the two are very complementary.
Any other question? We have time for one last question, Babak.
Hi, this is...
it's over there, sorry. Okay.
This
you
is
have a question? Yes, okay, maybe. Go ahead.
Rishikesh here. I've worked with Samsung, Toshiba, and others. Is your technology compatible with UCIe?
It is also compatible with UCIe, yes.
Is
in
it
fact,
a different flavor of it? Can you go a little bit detailed there?
So this technology is, we did a lot of new technologies at Aquantia, my last company, but it started at Aquantia for yield reasons, that we started the chiplet connectivity solution. And because it was super efficient, it was adopted as a standard at Open Compute Platform back in 2018, 19. And then UCME came along and uses very similar, fundamentally same signaling system and so forth. So as a result, our solution is fully compatible with both. So basically, we have it configurable to support both scenarios.
And the last question comes from Babak.
Thanks for the presentation, Babak from Juniper Networks. So chiplet is a really good idea, but at the same time, you have lots of interfaces that you create. Now, if you have this MCM module that wants to go to the car, you have reliability issues. No one has checked how those going to behave. Any comments on it? Is it going to pass AEC-Q 100, reliability requirements and stuff like that?
Sure. Yeah, actually, that's a great question. So For advanced packaging, as you said, that most chiplets, high-end chiplets you're using, they're not yet qualified for the car, and there are a lot of discussion in industry how to manage these tiny microbombs, 10 micron microbombs or TSVs and so forth. Again, this is one of the key advantages that we have, that we avoid all those new manufacturing and stay with, from mechanical manufacturing point of view, stay with the old way that things are done. So some of our chips that are already being tested, by car companies, they are like chiplet based, but based on this technology.
Well, thank you very much, Ramin Farjad Rad. On behalf of, wait, I have to say my thanks, and then you can clap. On behalf of Plug and Play, Persian Tech Network, and the Iranian community in the Bay Area, I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation and coming over here. Thank you. Now it's the time. Thank you, Ramin. It was a pleasure.